Okay, so now what we're going to do is create the first locking stitch. So what we need to do is we need to get our fid. We need to split the rope in half. So we need 6 strands on each side. So we just open up the strands like that with the fid, and then we just count to make sure that we've got 6 on each side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One snuck through there on the other side. So what you can do is just pull the fid back in, come around, and there we go. So it's really important to make sure you go through the center. So we'll just count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. So this method's not normally done, but it's how our factory actually does the winch rope. It's a double lock-in stitch. So the first thing we need to do is, once we've got a hole through the center of the rope, we need to create a bite of rope in the other side. Now this is the long side. Okay, so just open it up. Make sure you're going through the center. So you can open this right. You can open this up without too much detriment to the rope. So there we go. Okay. So what we need to do now is, so that's going to be our eye. Now we're just going to pull the end of the rope through all the way. So this is a full length winch rope, so just bear with me for one moment and pull this all the way through. If you do this double locking stitch, it'll never come undone. So there's other methods out there, some only do a single, but this is pretty much 100% fail safe. Alright, so just getting to the end where the other rope protector section is. Just be careful not to pick up too many fibres as you're going through with this process. So in this case we're actually making a winch extension rope, and so we're going to have an eye on both ends. So this one's already got an eye on one side, so if that's the case, again just be careful and slide that through. There we go. Okay. So that's the first part. Alright, we've got the first part through. Now, for the second part of the splice. Okay, before we continue to do the splice, we need to install the fid onto the end of the winch rope. So, when we made the fid, we just put a couple of little 90-degree bends in here. So, all you need to do is basically line it up so it's pretty much level with the end of the fid, and wherever that lines up, just get the 2 little 90-degree bends and just sort of dig them in between the fibres there. So that'll just lock the fid onto the end of the rope, and it won't actually pull out while we're actually doing the splice. So all we do is basically just start at the end here, tape it up, and we're just going to sort of work our way with the tape down until we get to the end. So you don't need to tape the whole thing up. All we're doing is just trying to create a nice even situation where it'll allow the fid to go down the center of the rope nice and easily. So there we go, guys. So just smooth it off, flatten off those edges, just make sure there's no sort of sharp bits that are sticking out on the tape that might get caught up while you're pushing it through the center of the rope. But that's all you need to do. Okay, so once you've got the fid taped up, we're going to do the second part of the locking stitch, which was the same as the first part. So we're just going to count down sort of 3 sections of braid. So 1, 2, 3, and this is where we're going to go through the rope again. So just open it up, get it through, make sure we've got 6 on each side. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, beautiful. And we're just going to pass the whole lot through. That creates, the rope's a bit messy, but that creates our double lock-in stitch there. Right, so when there's tension on the rope, this sort of double lock, as you can see here, it'll lock on itself under tension, and it won't allow the end section of the rope to be pulled out through the loop. So the last part of the splice that we need to do is actually feed this tail end back into the main section of the rope. So again, we're just going to count about 3 braids down, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go into the rope, into the center of the rope at this point. All right, so just gently open that up. You can push the rope together and it'll actually open up the center. So then you can slide it all the way through. There we go. So at this point what we're doing is just feeding the tail end of the rope into the main section. So you can bunch it all up and then just work it down until you get the end of the fid through. Generally once that's in, it gets a little bit easier. And you don't want to fight it, so patience is the key here. Just work it through. As you slide it, you can see that the tail end gets sucked into the rope. So we're going to go down to the point, the fourth fid marker point. And just keep pushing that down. Alright, so we're nearly there. There's that marker. So at that point, what we're going to do is just get the fid to come out. Pull that through. Alright, so we want to get all of it through. There we go. Okay. So, at this point, what we do is find the end of the tape. There we go. And we're just going to take the tape off. Don't worry too much about if it's getting a bit fuzzy down the tapered end, because we can sort that out. The good thing about electrical tape is it doesn't really stick that much to the actual fibres. If you use masking tape or some other sort of paper tape, it can actually stick quite badly and be hard to take off, but electrical tape or duct tape should work pretty well. Okay, so tape's off, get the fid, take that out. Alright, so we've got our tapered end here, so just run your hand over it a few times. Just make sure everything's looking nice, like relatively neat. If there's any sort of strand, like any bowed strands there, you can just pull them out and smooth them down along the side of the rope there. All right, so we're nearly done. All right, the last part of what we need to do now is actually just pull the main section of rope down. When we do this, it will suck this end section into the main section of the rope. So if you remember the first section, the tail section of the rope, including the tapered section, was 1, 2, 3 fid lengths in total up to the eye. And then we measured from the eye, we measured 1, 2, 3, 4 fid lengths down. So the theory about doing that is if you go past the point of where you need to, when you do this bit, it'll actually suck this end of the rope into the center of the rope, and it'll be completely clean and tidy. So there's no need to sort of manually try and get the end of this tag into the rope. So basically what you need to do is, what I normally do is grab the end of the rope here, and you can pretty much just pull on the eye, and that'll set the locking stitches as neatly as possible. So just put a bit of tension on there, and then you just start feeding the rope down, and you can see here that it's already been pulled in a little bit. So as I do that, you can see it just gets sucked into the rope, and there you go, all done. And that's it, guys. So we've got our eye. You can see that we've got our double locking stitch there. So this rope's a little bit been used a bit, so it's a little bit messy, but on this side you can see you've got the double locking stitch, and then it goes into the core of the rope, and then as it goes through, you can see that you really can't tell. All you can sort of see is that the rope gets thinner as it goes down, so there's really no noticeable point where you can see where the tag end of the rope finishes. So that's perfect. That's what we want. We don't want any major imperfections in the rope at all. We just want it to be all nice and neat and tidy. And if you do it like this, that'll be just as strong as it came out of the factory. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for watching.